Is your mind a sanctuary, or is it a battlefield? Every single day, it is under siege. The forces of temptation, distraction, anxiety, and doubt are not occasional visitors. They are a standing army at the gates, testing the walls, looking for a crack in the defenses. We are told to fight back with positive thinking, with sheer willpower, with hustle. But these are often just desperate skirmishes. They don't win the war. The ancient Stoic philosophers knew this. They were generals, emperors, and statesmen who lived in a world far more brutal and uncertain than our own. They understood that you don't win a siege by running around frantically on the battlefield. You win by building a fortress so strong, so well defended, and so strategically sound that the enemy starves itself out. This fortress is what they called the inner citadel, a stronghold within your own mind, a place of calm, logic, and unconquerable peace. It is not something you are born with. It is something you must architect and build, stone by stone. Today, I am giving you the blueprints. We will not talk about fleeting motivation. We will talk about mental fortification. We will learn how to build a mind so disciplined that it does not just resist temptation, it crushes it. This is how you stop being a soldier reacting to the chaos and start being the commander who controls the entire battlefield. We need to redefine the term spiritual warfare. Forget images of demons and angels. The true war is waged on the battlefield of your own thoughts, in the silent space between a stimulus and your response. It is the daily conflict between your higher self, the rational, disciplined person you aim to be, and the undisciplined impulses that seek to pull you down. It's the battle between long-term fulfillment and short-term gratification. I know this battlefield intimately. For 2 decades, I was a captain of industry in the tech world. I built companies, I won deals, I accumulated all the external markers of success. By every metric the world uses, I was winning. But inside the walls of my own mind, I was losing the war. My inner world was chaos. I was plagued by a gnawing anxiety that no amount of profit could soothe. I was reactive, my anger triggered by the slightest market downturn or a subordinate's mistake. My peace was entirely dependent on external validation. I had built a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. The crucible came in the form of a severe burnout. My health failed, a key business partnership shattered, and the external armor I had so carefully constructed was stripped away. Left with nothing but the chaotic rubble of my inner world, I was forced to confront the man I had become, a prisoner to his own reactions. That was when I stopped looking for new business strategies and started looking for a new operating system for the mind. I found it in the Stoics, in the unsparing logic of Epictetus, a former slave, and the profound self-examination of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor. They taught me that the external world is fundamentally uncontrollable. The market will do what it will do. People will act as they will act. The only territory you can ever truly command is your own mind. They gave me the concept of the inner citadel. But here is what most people get wrong about mental discipline. They think it's about having more willpower. They believe they need to be stronger, tougher, more forceful. This is a recipe for exhaustion. True mental fortitude isn't about pushing back harder, it's about building a structure so sound that most attacks simply don't even register. It's about architecture, not aggression. The first blueprint for our citadel is a counterintuitive strategy the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Modern culture tells you to visualize success, to think positively. The Stoic says, first, visualize failure. Visualize the absolute worst-case scenario of giving in to your temptations. This is not pessimism, it is strategic inoculation. An army that has never drilled for an attack will panic at the first arrow. An army that has drilled for every conceivable disaster will respond with calm precision. By contemplating the worst, you strip it of its power to shock and destabilize you. You rehearse your response so when, not if, the moment of trial comes, you are prepared. In my days in business, I stopped visualizing the triumphant signing of a contract. Instead, before a big negotiation, I would spend 10 minutes visualizing the deal falling apart completely. I would imagine the client walking out, the financial loss, the disappointment of my team. I would feel the sting of it. And then, from that place of imagined failure, I would calmly plan my response. What would I do next? How would I pivot? By facing the worst in my mind, the actual negotiation became far less intimidating. The fear was gone. Here is how you can apply this as a 3-step exercise. First, identify a recurring temptation. It could be procrastination, overindulgence in food or drink, or the urge to lash out in anger. Second, do not just think about the consequence. Vividly visualize it. If your weakness is procrastination, see yourself weeks from now, panicked, producing subpar work, losing the respect of your colleagues, feeling the deep shame of self-betrayal. See the opportunity you squandered. Don't just glance at it live in that imagined reality for a moment. Third, sit with the feeling that this visualization produces. Let that discomfort be your teacher. That feeling is the stone you will use to build your fortress wall. You are reminding yourself, viscerally, that the short-term comfort of giving in leads to a long-term prison of regret. So, I ask you, what fortress wall are you failing to build because you refuse to look at the enemy already at the gate? Once you've surveyed the battlefield with premeditatio malorum, you must learn to guard the gates. The second Stoic tactic is the discipline of assent. This may be the single most crucial skill for a tranquil mind. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." The world presents us with events, or impressions. An insult is an impression. A craving is an impression. A fear is an impression. These things have no inherent power. They are neutral. They only gain power when we assent to them, when we add a layer of judgment and agree that they are bad, or good, or must be acted upon. There is a space between the impression and your assent, a sacred pause. In that space lies your freedom. The undisciplined mind closes that gap instantly. The impression of an insult arrives, and immediately the judgment, "I have been disrespected and must retaliate," is attached. The citadel is breached. The disciplined mind, the mind of the commander, learns to stand in that gap. When the impression arrives, the urge to eat the cake, the flash of anger, the wave of anxiety, you stop. You observe it objectively. You say to yourself, "This is just a thought, not a command. This is an impression, not the thing it claims to represent." Think of it in a practical sense. You are driving, and another car aggressively cuts you off. The initial impression is a surge of adrenaline and anger. The undisciplined mind immediately assents. That person is a dangerous fool who has personally insulted my driving, my honor. The result is rage, a raised heart rate, a ruined mood. The citadel's gate has been thrown open. The trained mind experiences the same impression but pauses. It says, "An event has occurred. A car has moved in front of mine. The feeling of anger is an impression. I do not have to assent to it. Perhaps the driver is rushing to the hospital. Perhaps they are merely careless. Their state of mind is not my concern. My concern is maintaining my own." You refuse to grant the impression entry. The gate holds. This is not suppression. It is a conscious, logical choice not to endorse a destructive judgment. The most powerful Stoic tactic is often the most subtle. It is the quiet refusal to be commandeered by your own initial reactions. So ask yourself, which automatic judgments are you allowing to command your internal state? Where can you practice creating that pause? A fortress is not built and then abandoned. It requires constant maintenance. The walls must be patrolled, the foundations checked, the guards kept alert. This is why the third tactic is a daily practice, the inner citadel meditation. This is not the kind of meditation focused on emptying the mind or achieving a state of blissful nothingness. This is an active, architectural meditation. It is a 5-minute daily routine for mental fortification. Think of it as the commander's morning walkthrough of the ramparts. Here is the practice. Find a quiet space each morning before the day's battles begin. First, close your eyes and visualize your mind as that fortress. Don't just think about it, see it. See the high stone walls, firm and impenetrable. See the watchtowers manned by vigilant guards. See the central keep, the innermost sanctum where your core principles and reason reside. Second, for 2 or 3 minutes, mentally patrol these walls. As you do, you will see the day's potential invaders gathering outside. Thoughts of an upcoming difficult conversation, anxious worries about a deadline, cravings for distraction. See them for what they are, scouts from an enemy army. Name them as they appear. There is anxiety about the project. There is the desire for mindless scrolling. You acknowledge their presence, but you give the order to the guards at the gate. You are not granted entry. You watch them, you observe their tactics, but you do not open the gate. Third, retreat from the walls to the central keep. This is the core of you. It is the part of you that is untouched by external chaos. It is your faculty of reason, your personal philosophy, your unbreakable will. Spend the final minute there, in the calm, quiet, unassailable center of your being, reminding yourself that this is who you truly are, the commander, the architect, not the chaos outside the walls. This practice, done consistently, builds the mental muscle of observation without reaction. It trains you to identify thoughts as external to your true self. You stop over-identifying with your anxieties and your impulses and start seeing them as weather patterns that pass by your fortress, unable to shake its foundations. Even the greatest fortress has a strategic playbook. A wise commander knows that not every battle is won by standing firm on the walls. The fourth and final tactic is knowing when to engage and when to execute a strategic retreat and counterattack. Sometimes, particularly when you are tired, stressed, or emotionally compromised, a temptation can feel overwhelming. In these moments, trying to fight it head-on through sheer willpower is like sending a weary soldier into a hopeless fight. This is where the strategic retreat comes in. It is not a sign of weakness, it is the height of wisdom. If you are trying to break a habit of mindless snacking, and you find yourself exhausted at the end of the day, staring into the pantry, don't fight a battle of inches. Retreat. Leave the kitchen. Go for a walk. Call a friend. Change the environment entirely. You withdraw from the battlefield to ground that is more favorable to you. You deny the enemy the engagement it seeks on its own terms. Once you have retreated to a position of strength, you launch the counterattack. And the counterattack is a powerful act of cognitive reframing. You must change how you view temptation itself. The philosopher Seneca wrote that he pitied men who had never experienced misfortune, because they never had the opportunity to test their own strength. We must see temptation in the same light. Temptation is not a threat to your character, it is the gymnasium in which your character is built. It is resistance training for your soul. Every time you face a craving, an urge, an impulse, and you choose, deliberately, to act in accordance with your principles, you are doing another repetition. The walls of your citadel become thicker. The guards become more disciplined. This final strategy will change how you see temptation forever. It is no longer a source of shame or a sign of your weakness. It is an opportunity. When it appears at your gate, you can greet it with a calm resolve and say, "Thank you. You are here to make me stronger." I will ask you to reflect on this. Are you treating temptation as a sign of your brokenness, or as an opportunity to practice your strength? So, there we have it, the blueprints for an unbreachable mind. This is not a collection of disparate tricks, it is an integrated system of defense. Premeditatio malorum is your intelligence operation, your reconnaissance. You study the enemy's tactics and prepare for the worst, stripping fear of its power. The discipline of assent is your gatekeeper. You train your guards to inspect every thought that requests entry, refusing to grant passage to destructive judgments. The inner Citadel meditation is your daily maintenance and reinforcement. You walk the walls, you strengthen your resolve, you reconnect with the commander in the keep. And the strategic retreat and counterattack is your tactical playbook. It gives you the wisdom to know when to fight and the powerful reframe to turn every attack into a training exercise. This is the work. It is not easy, and it is never finished. A fortress that is not maintained will eventually fall into ruin. This is a daily practice, the life's work of becoming the master of your own mental kingdom. The promise is not a life free from problems or temptations. The promise is that you will build a core of inner peace and resilience so profound that nothing in the external world can ever truly conquer you. You will transform from a mental prisoner, jerked around by every impulse and anxiety, into the fortress commander, the architect of your own tranquility. The work is not for the faint of heart, but the peace it builds is unbreakable. If you are ready to continue this work, to forge an iron mind using the timeless wisdom of the ages, then subscribe for more strategies from the Philosophical Playbook. And now, I want you to commit to your first act as commander. In the comments below, tell me, which of these 4 tactics will you implement first?